Alright, well, as usual, I haven't been consistent with making videos while I've been restoring this radiator, and I actually pulled a few other parts off that compressor, the fuel pump and the magneto, just trying to get those back. And I mean, they were working, they just weren't working great. But all I've got is this video to show you all they're done. There's a fuel pump. Cleaned it up, went through it. The diaphragm was actually okay. It was missing a check valve inside this cap right here. So I made a piece out of sheet aluminum and a little bitty brush spring I had, and made it work. Put a new gasket in the sediment bowl, cleaned the sediment bowl out. It seems to work really well now. And the big American Bosch magneto that was on it, I think this is the MJB series. I went through it, put a new condenser, cleaned the points. The old condenser was actually leaking, so it was tired, and the points were all laid up. So I went ahead and followed the points down and stuck a new condenser in and cleaned it up, repainted it. I actually buffed the cap out. The cap was all like hazy, and I wheeled all the screws down. And these side covers, these are actually for ventilation. They have little holes at the bottom of them. You can actually see down there. They were actually completely painted over, so I went ahead and sanded them down and buffed them to where you can actually read the writing on them. But now it throws, instead of a kind of yellow spark, it actually throws a nice hot blue spark. That ought to help it run a little bit better. And the radiator that used to look like ass is now completely restored. Pulled it apart. I should polish that plate up pretty good. It had bolt-in cores. Actually, you can see them down here. There's 4 bolts holding each core in, 4 nuts on studs. I pulled those out. The cores, none of them would flow any more than a dribble of water. So I cleaned them out. I actually ended up just tapping on the ends of the cores lightly and knocking the rust that was in those loose. And when I flushed that rust out, the actual tubes themselves flowed great. So once I got the rust out, it flowed fantastic. It worked just like it was supposed to. And I scooped about, I'd say about 25 pounds of rust out of between the top and bottom tanks out of it. And a buddy of mine repaired the crack in the front, which I'm going to set the camera down and flip it around so y'all can see the repair. There we go. This thing weighs about 800 pounds, so I don't know, reality it's about 120. But might as well be 800 because it is heavy. Yeah, okay, it'll sit like that. Alright. Here's the front of it. I hand painted the Ingersoll Rand logo, repainted the cap and the bail, pulled the grill out and painted it while I had it off. And there's what used to be the crack. It's been brazed up. And my buddy actually said it wasn't the prettiest braze job he's ever done because he did it kind of quick, but hey, as long as it holds water, it's better than it was before. But yeah, it's taken me a couple of weeks, but I finally got it back together. And hopefully as soon as I get the coolant neck back from my buddy and get it cleaned up, painted, and a new gasket put on it, I'll go ahead and get her back on the compressor along with the magneto and the fuel pump, see how she runs. One thing I wanted to ask, if anybody watches this video, this is the stuff I used for the gaskets for the radiator cores. It's blue garlock. It's pretty thick. Garlock Blue Guard. Now it's kind of stiff stuff, and I used that to cut my new gaskets. I had to cut 10 gaskets to bolt the cores back in. I'm hoping that's one of that's better gasket material than say something else I could have used, cork or something like that, because I don't want to have to put this thing on there and pull it back off for a freaking leak. Another type of gasket material I got is this, they call it rubber fiber. I got it from Napa. It's a little thinner, a lot easier to cut, but I was a little unsure about using that stuff, and besides I already had the Garlock, and I mean that stuff's so strong you could probably make a damn head gasket out of it and it not blow out. And actually what I used to cut the holes for the gaskets is I made these. Took a 6-inch piece of 3/4 inch just standard galvanized pipe and a pipe cap, ground the end with an angle grinder, kind of sharpened it a little bit, and I'd set the gasket down in the cement and I'd strike this thing a couple of times and it would pop a clean hole in the gasket. And then this is the, well, I don't like using brass, but that's all they had in stock. I use brass, and I would use that to cut the bolt holes in the gaskets, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's better, it's almost impossible to hand cut those little bitty holes. I mean, if you're talking a bigger hole and that kind of stuff, yeah, maybe. But those those holes were a little bit over 3/4 of an inch in diameter, so you weren't getting too far with that. But yeah, I'll make another video and shoot y'all another update when this thing gets back together.